There is a supernatural world that surrounds us. Sometimes it manifests to folks like you and me. You'll hear more about this, so much more, right here on Supernatural Confrontations. Folks, I'm going to read again from the book, Further Evidence. This one's on cattle mutilations. Think you'll find it interesting. We'll get into that, but first a word from our trusted sponsor. Folks, L.A. Marzulli, we have a new product from the folks at BioTrust. I'm going to give this baby a try. Look, I've got stubborn belly fat. A lot of you out there have the same problem. Support balanced glucose uptake and metabolism in healthy individuals. This is pretty cool. Support normal insulin activity in healthy individuals. I have not yet tried this. I'm getting on it. I will report back to you. We try all of the stuff that our sponsors give us. Look, I'll be honest with you. I've got some stubborn belly fat. I would love to see it go away. So I'm going to give this a shot. Anyway, here's a further word from our sponsor. Excess belly fat has been deemed the most dangerous fat of them all, as it's linked to so many health issues. The reason being, excess belly fat grows deep in the abdominal cavity and puts pressure on some of the body's most vital organs. That's one of the reasons why myself, along with so many people, are beginning to turn to this amazing new substance, which is thoughtfully formulated with science-backed ingredients that promote reduced fat storage, help to speed up the breakdown of fat, support weight management, reduce cravings, and boost metabolism. Folks, the best part I love is that you can get 51% off for the rest of the month, or until they sell out, whichever comes first. Get yours now by going to trimwithla.com. Once again, that's trimwithla.com, trimwithla.com. I'm going to give this 30 days. I'll report back to you, and we'll see what it does. If you have not picked up a copy, we've got a special. It's still up there. You're going to want to check it out. It's this book has got a lot of information. It's also got some incredible photos in it. And, we're really proud of this. 44 full-color photos. Let me just give you another taste of what you're in for when you actually get this book. These are all from Jaime Maussan's collection, some of them, most of them. And we thank Jaime for allowing us to use those. So what I want to do is I want to get into one of these stories. And folks, this is investigative journalism. I'm out in the field. I'm on the phone. I'm meeting people, talking to people. I'm doing interviews. I'm out of a library, and I take pride in that. So this is one of the incredible stories that dates back into 2005. My story begins on Sunday, January 1st, 2005. At least if my memory serves correctly, that was the actual date. Our daughter and grandson were living with us at the time. She, having gone through a divorce back in March of '04. My grandson had received a rifle that year for Christmas. He was excited because he was going to the pasture with Grandpa to check on the cattle and then sight in his new rifle. My daughter was in her room on her computer, and I was in my room on my computer. I heard Tom come back in and didn't think they'd be gone long enough to check both the cattle and sight a rifle. In a few minutes, I heard the conversation as my daughter Sherry asked, "Did you get to sight in your rifle?" Quote, Tom replies, "Oh no, Grandpa is too mad." What is Grandpa mad about? Someone mutilated my cow. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, so I went to my daughter's room and asked if I had heard what I thought I heard. She stated that's what I heard was correct. A cow had indeed been mutilated. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked Tom where Grandpa was. He's outside, but boy is he mad. At that point, I went outside to locate my husband. He was visibly upset, and rightfully so. I was naive enough in those days to believe we should report it to local law enforcement. So I called the sheriff's department. I recall asking if anyone else in the area had reported any cattle mutilations. The shock on the other end of the line gave me the answer. I requested that they would send out a deputy. About an hour later, a deputy showed up. She followed my family out to the pasture where the cow was located. We all know what mutilation means, but to actually see it in first person is quite a shock. I had a sense of icy cold evil around me. The cow's left eye was severed flat with her skull. The lower half of her head was pretty much gone. All that was left was bone oozing a very minute amount of blood. One of the telltale signs of the cow mutilation is the absence of blood. The jawbone was laid bare. Her tongue, nose, mouth were all gone. They had made a very smooth, precise, rather semicircle type cut to remove these tissues. The tips of her udders were blackened and her rectum had been cored out. The deputy was trying to tell us that a wild animal was likely to blame. Nonsense. For weeks, nothing would touch that cow. No coyotes or regular predators would take any of her as food. Folks, coyotes touch anything. If you leave a crust of bread in a paper bag on a construction site, a coyote will sniff that thing out and dig to get that crust of bread. Won't touch the carcass. Gee, I wonder why. The buzzards would sit on her and defecate on her, but not eat her. The carcass lay there a long, long time before it eventually rotted away and the bones were drug off. Very unreal. Flash forward to Tuesday morning of the same week. I'm up and dressed, ready to depart from work. In fact, I was walking through the kitchen, headed toward the sliding glass door to leave when my daughter called out to me from her room to ask me a question. As I started to turn around, it was like I ran into an invisible hand or force field of some type. It hit me dead in the chest, and I was actually moved back a couple of steps. I stood wondering what in the world was going on. I felt a tingling sensation in my feet. The sensation began to rise upward as I stood there. I began to realize that if this continued, I was going to fall. Luckily for me, there was a kitchen chair with an arm's reach, and I grabbed it and literally fell into the chair. So now we are into high strangeness for sure. What is going on? What are we looking at? I recall that my heart was skipping a few beats, and I was thinking that at any second I would be in the presence of the Lord. After a short time, and I was still there, I decided to see if I could get up and stand. Since everything appeared to be normal, I went to work. After getting to work, I kept having the feeling, that I needed to call on my replacement and go home. It was just one of those weird things, hard to explain to someone else. But I called her anyway, and my replacement said she would be there shortly. Everything was fine until all of a sudden I felt like someone was poking my stomach with about 10,000 needles. If I sat down and stayed still, it wasn't too bad. My replacement finally showed up, and I left and went home. I pulled into the driveway at 10 a.m. Keep note of that time. I almost drove down the road just a little farther to check on the cows, but didn't do so. Instead, I went in and laid down and rested. That afternoon, when my husband got in from work, he went to check on the cattle. What he found was a newborn calf that had been mutilated in the same manner as the cow 2 days prior. The thing was, the mother cow wasn't even due for a couple of months. She had previously shown no sign of giving birth anytime soon. After hearing the news, I again called the sheriff's department to come and file a report. The same deputy came out and took the report, this time saying a panther was probably responsible. Seriously? Later at night, our neighbor called, having heard about the earlier incident. For the record, this particular neighbor lives right across the road from our pasture where the two incidents took place. Although from their location, they would not have been able to see anything going on. My daughter spoke with the neighbor on the phone and told him about our second event. He told her that at about 10 a.m. in that morning, their dog was going nuts. And looking in the direction of our pasture, his wife looked up but couldn't see anything. I have to wonder what I might have been able to see if I had gone that way at 10 a.m. in the morning instead of pulling into the driveway. My family has owned this land for over 100 years. Nothing like this has ever occurred before, and hopefully never again. This was not an experience I would care to repeat, ever. I can't explain exactly what happened to me on the day of a second mutilation, although I have never felt anything like it before or since. All these are the facts as closely as I can recall. And then she just goes from there. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I feel your work is spot on, and I am very thankful that someone from our side of the fence is tackling these issues. Folks, I mean, there you have it. That is a riveting testimony from a witness who remains anonymous. All in here, further evidence. You can get this incredible book, if I do say so myself, 44 full-colored pictures, by going to lamarzulli.net, lamarzulli.net. In my opinion, it's the same guys. And as we talk about in our cattle mutilation film, I believe they are using the blood and the parts of the animal to create artificial wounds. Thanks so much for watching Supernatural Confrontations. Remember, there is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me.